This is the rhythm of change. This is the sound of redemption. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. Igniting the fire within you. Exalting the melody of freedom. These are the things that will bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down. Down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise together.
Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up. Stand up, shout it loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
All right, there we go. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Firstly, welcome to the Eric Dawson Radio Show. I came down to the studio. I had everything all set up, and then when my screen refreshed, everything started moving really quickly. But now I understand, how my system works. Sometimes when I plug my computer in, guys, if for whatever reason it's not charging, and I have to unplug it and replug it. So got that done. Welcome. Today is Tuesday. No snow. They scared us and told us we were getting all this snow, and not a flake to be found. Now they're flaky people, but not a snowflake to be found. I know a lot of flaky people, but no snowflake. Anyway, pouring my beverage, guys. Trying to hydrate. Anyway, welcome Diane and Vincent. Today is Deidre Viney Day, so the queen of employment opportunities will be calling shortly, and we'll see what jewels she has to drop.
Get your dollars.
But before we get into that, Diane and I, and you're down in that area, Vincent. Diane and I were talking about Rocky, because I told Diane I was making 2 eggs, and she asked me if I was gonna drink them raw. Now, did you?
Why not?
How many people, when Rocky came out and you saw him crack those eggs and swirl it around that glass and drink it, and then went out and ran? How many of you got like souped up and did that?
I did it one time, and then I realized how disgusting it was.
Did you put Tabasco sauce in it?
Oh no, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I know it was just really gross, so no, I didn't. I don't.
I did it before that.
Mm. Yeah.
It was the AAU Junior Olympics for me at that time.
Mm. Yeah, it was my gag reflex that wouldn't allow me to.
Oh God, you always got an issue.
No, but it was. But I do. But when Rocky came out, what was that? 70.
76.
Was it 76?
I think so.
Yeah. So I was like in the 6th or 7th grade, I think. And I had never ventured downtown outside of taking a bus from the house, right? And only did that under parental supervision or like with my big brother kind of thing, right? But I was allowed to go down with my cousin, and we went down to see Rocky. And we were so gassed up. We went to see it at the Adams Theater.
Where did y'all go to? What was it, Bradford?
No, we went to the Adams on Branford Place, but the Adams Theater we went to. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
And after it, everybody was so amped up. Well, anytime I went down to the movies, I was amped up. We used to go down to see all the Kung Fu movies on Sunday. And you would pay one price, Diane, and you would go see Five Fingers of Death, Into the Dragon, all of these different. And then you come out doing all of the moves, making all the sound effects and everything, right? Play exactly, man. Fighting all the way home, trying to figure out how to walk on 2 fingers like they did in a movie. I mean, it was all crazy stuff. So I was amped up after watching Rocky. I said to my cousin, and I didn't know how to get home. We never really paid attention to the bus route. But I figured it was just a straight shot. And I said, let's run home, right? So, we were humming the theme song of the movie, trying to run home. We found ourselves going like straight down Broad Street, over the bridge. And next thing you know, we saw the airport. Wrong turn. But we made no turns. We should have made a turn toward the end of Broad Street going up toward Elizabeth Avenue and then Clinton Avenue and then home, right? But we didn't. We passed Lincoln Park and we kept going straight.
Rocky was released November 76.
And so we were deflated on the way back because by the time we realized we were lost, and like all the adrenaline had worn off, we had to turn around and do the walk of shame back over the bridge, back down. And then because I didn't know any other place to catch the bus but where we caught it on Broad Market, we walked all the way back to Broad Market to get the bus. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
That it stops at.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Go
Mm.
figure.
So listen, but there are a couple other things that Diane and I talked about. Hey Vincent, let me ask you a question. Your dogs, are they your dogs or your wife's dogs?
Well, every time they need something, they're my dogs.
See, that's it, right? So they come to you. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Or
So
she sends it to me, or she tells me to go get them something.
no,
This
no,
is
no, no. I'm not talking about what she does. I'm saying your dogs. Have they identified themselves as your dogs or your wife's dogs?
no, they identify themselves as my dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, I was telling Diane this morning, Malcolm, our cat, is definitely Amina's dog. I mean, cat. Maybe he's a dog. I don't know. But he identifies as her animal. No doubt. Like when she's not here, he goes upstairs and retires in the guest bedroom. And he stays there until she comes back home. He doesn't come down. He doesn't ask me for anything. And not that I wouldn't give it to him if he needed it, but I don't go above and beyond, right? So, which she does. So she spoils him. So he's got cat food in his bowl. He's got water. He's got two bowls. He's got one on the main level and one upstairs of water, right? And then he's got his food downstairs. But when she comes home, he convinces her that she needs to refresh his food.
Oh yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying? So even though she's got,
starving without her.
yeah, but even though he's got food, she goes over and she'll take some more morsels out of the bag and put them in, and then he'll begin to eat as though he had no food in his bowl the entire day. I won't do that. So and he he tried it with me a couple times, and I said, Malcolm, you got food in your bowl, eat it, and then I would just leave the kitchen. She actually sits and stays with him while he's eating. Like he won't eat unless she's there, right? So she's now they have this routine. He wakes us up at like 4:30 in the morning, and so she goes down, she feeds him, and she has to wait downstairs while he eats. And then she comes back up, and she may go to bed or she'll read the paper or do whatever she does, and then he'll go lie down. And then when she wakes up, then he'll come back down with her to eat, eat,
He's starved.
huh?
He's starved over here.
No, that what well, no, but I think he understood the same thing with me, Diane. Like so, he doesn't even. I think that he's adjusted his eating schedule to realize like okay, and he should be I guess he feels somewhat fortunate about COVID because if she were working, he'd have a real if she was going into the office, he'd have a real problem. But he really wouldn't because he'd have food, right? He'd figure it out, wouldn't he? Wouldn't he? I mean, animals figure it out, right? So he's not starving. I don't want people to think I'm starving him. Like I said, he's got a bowl full of food. He just chooses how he wants to eat it and how he wants to manipulate and train his human to
So you
accommodate.
won't manipulate me.
No, he won't. He doesn't manipulate me either.
Yeah, no. In fact, he would have his water in one place and his food in one place. And if he didn't eat it, I don't know. He's starved. Poor thing.
Pets tend to relate to the maternal or the paternal for whichever of their needs. The maternal or the nurturing mother whenever they want to be pet, or the paternal or the alpha, when they want to be protected. But, they tend to go back to back for different people. And if you're a soul person with pets, they relate to both of them from you.
So let me ask you a question, another question, because I was talking to Diane about this. I remember when our other cat died. Amina was actually torn up. She was broken up. I mean, it was like true member of the family. Pardon me, my nose is running. True member of the family that passed away. And so we actually buried Bullseye in the backyard. And she wept beyond belief. Do you have that kind of attachment, or does your wife have that kind of attachment to your pets, Vincent?
Yeah, in fact, Lucy died Mother's Day. That's the reason we ended up with Onyx now. Lucy was our boxer bull. We had her 12 years. She was like a little puppy. And, she was beautiful. She was a brindle. and I mean, she was a protector. I mean, if ever I raised my voice, she would just come over and stand between me and my wife and start barking like, "Yo, better back off." Or if my wife did the same, she would do the same thing for her. But when Lucy died, Mother's Day, my wife was all teary and not now, Lucy, and it was that was an emotional day.
Mm. And what about you, Diane? Yep.
What if they die?
Yeah.
Should I be emotional? Yeah, no, it's a dog. I'm good. I'll get another one.
Now, and this is a touchy subject. Do you buy dogs or do you rescue dogs or pets? Hmm?
I've done both. So one is a rescue, the little one, and the big one is a purchase dog.
Now, there's some people who, like, they literally curse the ground you walk on if you buy a dog.
Oh, don't come over here with me and my dog. We good.
Yeah, give them an opportunity to get bit by an expensive dog. Put that on your list. Yeah, this wasn't a mutt. This dog got a pedigree.
That's right. That's right. I'll never wash this leg again. Oh gosh.
We've done both.
Oh man.
Rescued and purchased. We got Pomeranians that have pedigrees. I mean, I've got Onyx right now, who's a rescue. We've got cats that are rescues, and I'm gonna tell you, the rescues cost almost as much as buying one with a pedigree.
Oh, what do you mean? By the time you take care of all the medical stuff? But a lot of these shelters and stuff, they take care of all that stuff for you, don't they? A lot of it.
Yeah, but they still charge you.
No, do they?
$600, $300 donation.
Really?
What you pay for a dog?
Through a rescue.
Yeah, rescue is cheap, and they do all the shots and all of that stuff, all their first shots, everything.
Yep, neutered, spayed.
300, 600 the most I've seen. That's
Yeah,
not a lot.
I think the next dog that I get, I want a boxer, and I want to rescue him, because I don't want to train a puppy. Like, I'd like to know the temperament and everything of the dog ahead of time, as an adult dog, because I'm getting older, and I just don't want to go through housebreaking and stuff. I want to know the dog's already broken, housebroken, house trained, or whatever you want to call it. And just kind of have a dog that I can meander down the street with. I don't want a violent, vicious dog either. I don't want. I'm not looking for a watchdog. I got my pistol for that. I just and it's well trained on you. Yeah, I just want like a companion dog, one that when we have, cookouts and things in the yard, I don't have to chain him up or her up, and, he or she can run around and be loved by everybody who comes over. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh God, that dog that's gonna be all standing in front of you.
No. Like the last dog that I had, Whizzer, he was off leash and wouldn't bother you. We used to have like cookouts with like 90 people, 100 people, Diane, and he would, he had an area in the yard that he pooped in too, right? And we didn't fence it off. I just trained him to do his business over in that area, so I didn't have to, go through the entire yard cleaning up, right? So, and then he had an area where he hung out, right? Where he had an outside bowl of food and drink and everything. And if you called him over, he would come over. If I told him to go back, he would go. And the whole event would take place, and Whizzer might not ever come over. But I never, never had to be concerned if a child, because we had kids, right? Little kids. And so our friends had little kids. And so as all of the kids were running around, playing everything, I never had to be concerned that Whizzer might charge a kid or attack a kid or anything like that, right? And if they were animal lovers, the children, then Whizzer was there. And as a golden retriever, he loved nothing more than just being like loved on, right? So yeah, it was good all the way around.
Well, Lucy was well trained. I mean, she took her. She was docile. You wouldn't have to worry about her with children. She's very protective around children. She could sniff out drugs and gunpowder, and all of her attack commands were in German.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, that's what you do when you're a black man in a predominantly white neighborhood and you're running for public office.
Really?
Really? Not to mention, sniffing out drugs and gunpowder works very well when you got teenagers who are bringing in boyfriends.
Really? So that's what you did with your dog? You know what, Vincent? I can't. Anyway, Vanessa Williams. Did you read that article, Eric?
Did I? I didn't read the article. I saw the video, but I also saw the Playhouse magazine. Actually, if I go
you can buy Playboy and Penthouse, you mean?
Penthouse. I thought I said Penthouse.
I thought you said
If I go ferreting through my boxes, I'm sure I can find my copies.
Did you keep it encased in plastic and?
I did. No. Well, I didn't hermetically seal them, but I did. Much like people who collect comic books and things like that you anticipate to be worth some, value. I did put them in the plastic sleeves. But yeah. So here's my deal with Vanessa Williams.
Yes.
You have them now apologizing all of this time later, 30 plus years later.
Who was they?
This is Miss America, right?
Okay.
Apologizing to her for judging her based on photographs that had come out prior to, right? Her taken prior to, not that they emerged during, right? So that was the scandal, but they were taken prior to. And so they held her accountable for her behavior prior to, right? So that's what I want to stay on, prior to. So they said, we have standards and you didn't meet up to you don't meet up to our standards. So it's not about our standards right now, it's our standards in general, right? And so even though you did this prior to, back then they said they don't meet our standards. So we're removing you. Now they're apologizing for that. And people are applauding. But if you look now at the woman who has been removed, a Republican who's been removed from these committees.
Marjorie Taylor.
Right. She's saying, I did these things prior to. I made these comments prior to. Right? And the Democrats and those who are supporting the Democrats are saying, doesn't matter, we have standards. So we're removing you anyway. So I just want you to see the hypocrisy. So as a lot of those people who are in the audience applauding, right, are liberals, right? They're they're applauding the fact that you look and say, I'm not going to judge you by your past. I'm going to judge you by your present. But those same people are saying, remove her from the committees, remove her from these things. And she's saying, but I posted those things prior to. See, there's hypocrisy. If you looked at Diane, you just see hypocrisy. So I don't know. So do we judge people prior for the things they did prior to, or not?
Well, there are two things that you're looking at here.
It depends on what you're trying to do with them.
I agree.
It depends on what benefits you as to how you judge a person. If it benefits you to judge them from their past, then that's what you do. If not from the present, then that's what you do. If your objective is to get rid of them.
Well, yes. And also, you have to look at two things in terms of judgment and understanding. There is the mitigative factors of the actual mechanics of, or two, mitigative for both people. The aggregative fact you have to look at is what was cause or the act or action. Now, and that's where the difference lies. There's a big difference in someone, taking some photos, which, may be questionable based on your morality, preference, or belief, versus someone who says that 9/11 wasn't real. the forest fires are started by the Rothschilds, who have a Jewish-built laser that starts these fires everywhere. And Margie Pelosi, the best way to take it, I'm sorry, Nancy Pelosi, the best way to handle her is put a bullet to her head. Not to mention harass a survivor of the Parkland shooting who's going through his own trauma himself. There are
Right, but I'm saying,
aggregated
but I'm saying,
factors
when
to
did
that.
she do? When did she do it? When did she say it? When were those posts put up?
Well, again, that is the mitigated factor. They were both put up before they received said title.
Right.
That's
So
what's
my
true.
point to you is this.
That's what-
So she put it up. Then she said, now my question to you is this. Did she or did she not say that she regretted putting those things up and saying those things and that she was a different person now?
No, she didn't.
No.
So one, she said reckless things after he lost the election.
No. I'm not talking about. So wait. So wait a minute. We could talk about the reckless things she said after the election, but I'm talking specifically about the things that she posted prior to her taking office. So let's start there first,
Okay.
right? Because go ahead.
Okay, so let's start there. Now,
For office is when she put up the pictures the picture of her with a machine gun and the whatever you want to call them, the crew. She never said she was sorry. She never said on the House floor, she said it wasn't true. Instead of saying, I should not have said that 9/11 didn't happen, she said 9/11 did happen. That was, she never
apologize.
never apologized and or said that what she said was not true. She just got on the floor and acted as if that had never happened, and she was giving information to the people. Like, and by the way, she actually said, and by the way, 9/11 did happen. Like, that's crazy.
And let's and if you want to compare the apples to apples, when they talked to Vanessa Williams apologized for taking those photos, and she said it may have been in bad taste. But this woman has not apologized before the Senate or Congress. All she did was she got up there and she did a Karen call. I'm a white woman and I graduated here and there, and I don't know. No, come on, Eric. What do you mean hypocrisy?
And when Vanessa Williams apologized, she was still dethroned.
Thank
They
you.
still took her title away from her. They still made her pay for that which happened when she was basically a kid, right? I get the liberal argument, Eric, but at the end of the day, in this space, in this time, there has to be we have to at least act like we give a damn about the rhetoric. Because the rhetoric has now proven before we wanted to say that it wasn't that big of a deal. They're just talking, right? But on January 6th, we realized that the rhetoric riles up people, causes violence, and can turn this country upside down. I think she should have not. I don't even think she should be in office, right? When you march down a kid, say that a shooting in Sandy Hook didn't occur, where those were babies who were murdered. Like, that's just, she's just like, and she pour white trash. All right.
My grandfather told me as a kid, he said, listen, son, be careful for what you say, because your talk become actions. Be careful for what you do, because your actions become your personality.
Right.
And
So
be careful of your personality, because that's the number one thing in which people judge you by.
So what all right. So what I'm saying is this, right? People can you can judge her apology. So and I'm just asking, right? These are just things that I just put out there for us to ponder as we, take our sides about things. If you read the liberal media, it talks about a vague apology. So it doesn't say she doesn't apologize. It says her vague apology, right? So it wasn't sufficient enough for some people, but they don't say she didn't apologize. They simply say it was a vague apology. And so when we can now set standards for what the apology should be, right, based on what our motives are, and I'm just saying, who is the arbiter to determine that, right? Because they said this is vague. It was not enough for us. Yeah, she did something, but it wasn't enough. And when we start talking about words, and I agree with you, but I want you to remember that Democrats, and they did say this stuff, right? They said, yo, you should get up in the faces of these Republicans. And so we saw people showing up at dinners that Republicans were having with their family members, right? And they were engaging them. We saw a lot of that. And I don't know how many people denounced that. And so what level, right? So, you know, to what
You've
degree,
seen it right here in New Jersey.
right? To
People
what
have come
degree,
up to the governor.
what degree
Right
should
here.
we go to, right? And what is acceptable, and who determines what is acceptable? And that's all I'm saying. So when we say, well, apologize, but apologize this way, and then that satisfies me. And these people say, well, she apologized and her apology was satisfactory to me, right?
She did not say, I'm sorry.
What did she say?
She did not say, I'm sorry for any of her actions. She just explained it out because she just said, basically, I'm a white woman and I can do it.
No, I don't want to get
Well,
basically.
her explanation to her and to some people was acceptable.
Yes, to some people it was acceptable. But yet everybody was mad at Bill Clinton because his apology was not contrite. It's just the same as when two kids get into an argument or a fight and the parents make them shake hands and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But in all reality, I'm not sorry.
Well, you're just contradicting what you just said. She explained that she didn't say she was sorry, and you say she has to say she's sorry.
Right, it has to say it a certain way. So here's what I'm gonna. So just this one paragraph, right? So wait a minute.
They made AOC apologize for what they.
No. I get what they made her do, but what I'm saying is this: when I.
Elian received a censure on the floor because she made some alleged
I'm not disputing. No, but you're making my point, right? So what I'm saying to you is this: when it says, so here's what I don't know what that noise is in the background. Mute, please. It says, asked repeatedly at a press conference if she stands by her claims that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi deserves death for treason. Green wouldn't give a clear answer and instead sought to change the subject. Did you see my speech yesterday? Green fumed at a reporter outside the U.S. Capitol, referring to her floor remarks on Thursday, in which she offered a vague apology for words of the past. Now, what I'm saying is this. So they deemed her words vague, but they said she apologized, but it was vague, right? So who determines the level of acceptance, right? Is it the person who was offended? Because if we say, well, those who were offended get to determine whether or not the apology was sufficient enough, right? Then, yeah, then on both sides, people going, well, this is what I want in terms of an apology. This is what I want in terms of an apology. But you still have a divide now of people who say it ain't sufficient until it meets these requirements. But I don't have a dog in the fight. So I'm going, hey, look, if a person apologizes, it's an apology, left or right side. And then when do we determine that is not an apology? Who does that?
When it doesn't suit us, that's when we determine it. When it doesn't suit our needs. And that's what it's based on. And public opinion is when it does not suit our needs as the masses, that's when we decide that it's not acceptable.
Or the individuals collectively stating their disapproval.
Listen,
Eric.
Yep.
Eric, let's look at court of public opinion. Some people in public opinion said that the administration is doing well towards all people. Some people, according to public opinion, says they haven't done a daggone thing for us. That's the court of public opinion. And on this show, we had the public opinion that Clyde Fishburne should have boldly stepped up there and said, Biden, you better do A, B, C, and D. Where other people in public opinion said, there's no need to address the elephant in the room. Just handle it.
So did Vanessa Williams respond to this?
Oh, she was on the stage. Her mother was crying in the audience. She was on the stage, emotional about it. So, I would say by the fact that she showed up, she knew that they were going to apologize, right? So she showed up and she was on the stage. And so I would say that she accepted the apology.
So with the apology, should there be some type of reparations with that apology? Because what good is an apology if what you tried to do was ruin her career, which they did just the opposite. It actually helped boost her career.
Well,
but she still had a struggle.
Are we still talking about Green?
Vanessa, no, we're talking about.
Well, we're talking in general about. Well, we could talk about her, but
well, the article starts with Vanessa Williams, but it's more so. So, what's the reparations after a person apologizes? Should there be something?
So I'm confused by the conversation, right? First of all, if you listen to the speech of Green on the floor, right, there was no apology. When you're reading in print or they're talking and they're saying a vague apology, again, I argue that that's politics, right? That they have to give her some credit for getting on the floor, right?
She gave her standing ovation.
Listen, on QAnon, she said, she played victim. She said, I was following QAnon. They seem to be very patriotic. I said some things. And then she flipped it to victim. She said, but then I understood, blamed it on the media. And basically she said, media or social media allowed QAnon to spew lies. And then she realized she was a victim of QAnon. So I pulled back. But then that's a lie because during Donald Trump's year, she was talking about. So that was a lie. I think she put it to 2017 and she found out that the QAnon were allowed to spew conspiracy theories that were not true. And so she was a victim. I was a victim of that, right? She never apologized. She never said anything she did or said was wrong. She just shifted the blame. And then she shifted it to the media. At the end, her statement was, the media, we should attack the media for allowing these things to get out. Okay? But you participated, right? She was allowed to hold office after putting up a picture with 3 women of color, and she has a bazooka and says, we need to stop them, right? She should have never been in office. And when you say that there is some of us liberals, you say, are against her, but that she still has people supporting her, let's be frank. Anybody that supports her supports QAnon and supports racism and supports white supremacy. So I don't even know why we're talking about her, right? But to your point, with Vanessa Williams.
But you wanna put the same mechanics.
Don't interrupt. Let her finish. Go ahead, Jody.
So with Vanessa Williams, right? She was dethroned, like you said, Diane. Her career was ruined, and nobody stood up for her. We didn't stand up for her. All black folks, and based on the color of her skin, and then she was a fair-skinned woman with gray eyes. Nobody stood by her. I don't even think Green should be a conversation piece of is an apology acceptable and who is it acceptable to? She is a part of a force that wanted to take my vote away, to put me back in this crazy place where my vote doesn't matter. Like, who do we really care? I mean, I don't care. I don't think she should have her job.
But see,
So
the
Jody,
Vanessa
to
Williams.
say that would be the same thing as what happened to Ilhan Omar. She made statements and they made her come out and apologize. So what Republicans are now saying is, if you continue to push this to try and have her removed out of her seat, You better remember this, because when we get in power, we're going to double down on everybody. On everybody.
But they didn't only just make Ileana apologize. They sifted her on the floor.
Right.
She took a hit from that.
But
they didn't take Queen's job.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, they didn't take her job. They just took off a committee. Like, who cares?
Yes. Well, you look at the Vanessa Williams situation where the bottom caste therefore beat the system by playing by the rules. And then once they did something that the system considered to be not what they wanted to, which it didn't take very much, they stripped her of her title versus a woman who used the system of the upper caste to get into power and therefore started bragging and boasting about taking people's lives. And stuff's not happening. That is no comparison. That's the same comparison. What happened to Vanessa Williams was the same thing that happened with the insurrection. The simple fact that black people or the bottom caste beat the system by playing by the rules.
Let's be clear about
Can I please finish, dude? Can I please? No.
Yeah, you gotta let him finish.
You shut up and let me
Yeah,
finish.
you gotta let
Why can you not ever let me finish? Yet you demand that I let everybody else finish.
Yeah, you gotta let him finish.
rhetoric and bullshit.
But you gotta let him finish.
It's rhetoric and BS to you.
But you gotta let him finish.
But as I was saying, it's the same. It is the same thing. It is the same thing and the same principle where the black and the downcast beat by the system, yet they wanted to overturn it because it's not what white America wanted.
That's untrue.
So wait a minute. But I want to read. So again, right? And like I'm reading an article out of Politico where she talks and she specifically says that she's sorry for things that she should not have said. And then she says, I'm really grateful to my God because He forgives me. And that's what's that's what being a Christian is all about, right? So I mean, these are quotes, right? Where they quote her as saying this. So look, and all I'm saying is this, right? So we can become arbiters of what we forgive, what we don't forgive, who we're going to choose to forgive, who we're not, who we're going to anticipate as not being authentic in their apology, and who we are going to. I'm just saying, be very careful once we start traveling down that road. So say, oh, the person said this, because there's a quote in Politico, and I'll share the article where the quote is around that she's saying, I'm sorry for what I said that I shouldn't have said, right? And
let's see. In terms of Political saying that she apologized, I don't know if they've seen the exact same thing that I saw.
Right, but so again, here is
everybody specifically says, except for Politico, that was not. She did not specifically apologize.
No. But what I'm saying to you is this: they're saying vague apology.
Eric, let's stop there and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, but they're saying vague.
Enough with this, because this has been enough. I think this feeds in perfectly to what we talked about before the show about where is religion and the people that stand in these seats and why people don't go to church, because of the representation and example in which they show. And I think this is a perfect example into a segue on how you speak to people and why people don't go into church, but they claim that they're in theology school and they're following Jesus and this is what should be done. But they speak to people in disrespectful ways. Because I just got a text about, did he just tell you to shut up? Yeah, because he thinks it's okay.
No, I told you to shut up because you constantly tell me to shut up.
Yes. I didn't ask for an explanation.
Yet. One thing that you're going to learn is that you will not be specifically rude to me without me doing that. Well, you're great. You got more than what you requested. But yet now you want to use that to judge me based upon the dynamic.
Right.
Yes,
So
what you just did was a judgment.
But listen, guys. But what we do? Look. But here's what I think that we do. I think that right. I'd like to focus on the issues that we're talking about, right, as opposed to the personalities. My like I said, my thing, and I know Jody said that she was confused about the conversation, and that's why I tried to stay there, was just about, the fact that we have teams, right? We have sides, And so people choose them, and then they choose to be lenient with those who are on their side, and they tend to be more critical with people who are not on their sides. And I'm just saying we need to be fair across the board. So somebody offers an apology, and if we say that we're, whatever religion or spirituality you are, and you say, well, I don't know this person's heart, somebody apologizes, do we accept the apology or don't we? Or do we then look past that and pull out our Ouija boards and our, little 8-ball things and judge what they might do in the future, right? So we go, I know they said this, but I'm not going to accept it because of what they may do, as opposed to just saying person said it, and so now we have to hold them accountable from here on, right? I don't know the answer to that question, but when I saw all those people cheering for the Academy after they did what they did to her, and they just, hands down accepted their apology, right? Then, or not the Academy, but the Miss America pageant. I just thought like, wow, okay, I got it, and I just wanted to bring it up. So, we had a bunch of other things, Diane, that that I sent both you and Vincent this morning.
Well, by the way, speaking of, if I could make this point, guess what happened yesterday that is not on the 100-day list and not expected by a lot of people, yet it is directly addressed to black people.
Yeah, so I do because I also got the text message, and I about shut up.
Reparations?
No, about the shut up comment. I think that we could figure out better ways to communicate.
Okay.
All right. So reparations.
So,
What were you saying about
yes.
reparations?
Sheila Jackson Lee, one of the huge participants in the reparation, I don't know if she was appointed to the position, but they're now putting together the committee on reparations.
They've been put a committee together. This is not new.
No, they've just been talking about it and thinking and doing the exploratory. Now it's gaining traction with the formal committee under President Biden.
No, there was a committee.
The committee was put together already.
Yeah, the exploratory committee.
But
That's where they got the guy who came up and said it.
Listen, I hate to bring it back up, right? But we just had a conversation about apologies. Apologize. Say sorry for saying
Okay.
shut up.
I'm not saying I'm sorry. No.
No. I'm sorry for bringing it up. All I'm saying to you is, right, listen, you and Diane are on the show, right? If people are texting Eric about it, right, it doesn't really matter, right? And listen, that I have a son who's like so aggressive, right? But he's always aggressive in what I call him in his accusatory behavior, right? So whether Diane, you feel like she's aggressive with you, right? Just as a man, and it doesn't even have to be gender-based, right? It's just great and big, right? When you and I just agreed that this woman gave this straight, like, fake apology, right? It's just huge sometimes to apologize. To let your listeners that listen to Vincent know that it ain't nothing big for me to say to this woman, I apologize for saying shut up. Whether you said it or not, whether you said it in your sentence or not, it really shouldn't matter, right? Like Eric said, just, the language in itself. There's nothing wrong with saying, y'all shouldn't have said that. In the story, it's like so easy.
There is nothing wrong with apologizing. And most of the time, I'm the first one to do it when I'm wrong. However, if I did, it would not be because I feel like I was wrong, which means that it would not be contrite, which means that it would be half anything, which I am not going to do. No, I do not feel sorry for telling her to shut up because there were other things in which I wanted to say. I do not feel sorry because of the constant disrespect I get from her when I'm talking and the interruptions. I will not apologize because it is simple as much as I have tried and bent over backwards to be amenable and understanding and cooperative with things that I get the constant saying, badgering, and bullcrap from her. No, I have drawn the line with that.
Okay, and
Right.
this is a man of God.
Well,
I love the reflection.
well,
Thank you.
well. So,
Yet you want to use that.
I love it. I love it.
so.
Thank you, Jody. I appreciate it. I'm going to chuckle on this.
Okay, so would you prefer a man of God to sit up there and lie and do something that you know he's lying or sit there and tell you the truth?
No, we appreciate the pimp in the pulpit, and we like to call them out as they are.
Well, first of all, I'm not in a pulpit. Second of all, I'm not a pimp. Maybe you should apologize for that statement.
Right. So
no apologizing.
Priceless.
So
Priceless. But you know, Jody, that's what people from jail do. They always aggressive and attack people. It's a nature that's within them.
No, that is what people who are constantly do when they're constantly being beat down by a certain person that they're working hard to being nice on. You know what? It does not matter anymore. Okay? So, no, I am going to continue to be me. And if you continue to be disrespectful, then I'm going to continue to address it.
Well, thank God it's not we don't have
yet, you continue to go on with that blasphemy and call me a pimp in the pulpit.
You are a disgrace. You really are. But I'm done. Because you've shown your true colors many times. You're a disgrace. You know that.
Again,
you know it and I know it.
No.
Anyway,
What you want to do is put up a false narrative. But anyway, Eric, please.
False narrative is based on fake information. You just gave us the truth.
No, which I did give you the truth, but now you want to. No. You want to.
Keep defending yourself because that's what jailbirds do.
Listen. So now, no. There was no blame shifting there. That was the truth. That was the truth, and you know. And to the point where when you get on the show and I say good morning, you don't even give me the common platitude of saying good morning back.
right. So,
You have been consistently disrespectful to me,
right.
for no apparent reason.
But
if I have done anything to you to
right.
cause all of that great stuff that I get from you, explain it to me now,
So
that I can therefore offer my
right.
apology.
So here's what I want to ask, right? As
Eric,
no, Vincent, but so here's what I'm trying to
answer that question.
But
Tell me what
no,
I have done to you
but
to
here's
do
what I'm
all
trying.
that disrespect.
No, I get your question, but here's what I'm trying to find out: what edification is provided to the listener right now? Right, and so wait a minute. So that's weird. So I'm sitting here as a listener, and I'm going, I'm taking time out of my day to tune in. What am I getting out of this?
Well, besides theater, maybe the simple fact of resolve. Maybe some listeners could say, you know what, they both bring great points, but when they work together,
but right. So
rather
then
than when they're fighting for the actual drama of the trademark.
right. So what I'm saying is this. So over the last 10 minutes, right?
Then for edification, let the listeners hear the explanation and the apology for the wrong. So
Well,
please, I want the explanation of what have I done.
but that has okay. So all right. Then I would say do another show for that, right? Because I really
That's what look, I like to get some resolve because I'm not the type of person who likes people to go around angry with me for no reason that I'm conscious of, and I want to be intentional. So tell me, why are you angry with me?
Right.
And why do you disrespect me?
I'm a listener, right? I'm a listener. I listen every day. This is my favorite thing to do. 10 to 12. Keep getting in trouble on my job because I'm screaming at the Eric Dawson show. off the air. That conversation should be held off the air. I believe that's why Diana's just gotten quiet, right? Because after a while, it makes me uncomfortable as a listener hearing that. Like, that's not what I call in for. I want to talk about politics and some fun stuff and yeah, just like that's the personals. And let's just get back to the show because I call in. I can say I listen every single day. And that whole little thing just there, that was just like mad uncomfortable for a listener. Right? I just want to talk about some stuff, good stuff.
Well, I don't know if this is good stuff, but we're back in the news is the Newark Board of Education, right? And I was talking to Diane about it. We talked about it last week, I think, was it last week or week before last that we had Dr. Leah Owens on?
Week before last.
Week before last, we had Dr. Leah Owens on, and because she wrote a scathing piece about the Board of Education. And, we kind of went back and forth on the show, Diane and I, about whether or not the board was within its right legally to do what they did. I think that we have come to consensus here on the show that the board was legally within their right to do what they did, right? What we're talking about is whether it was the right thing to do, right? Whether when you're trying to build community cohesion within the community, where you're trying to build trust within the community after this entire fight that took place around Cammie Anderson and the lack of transparency and all of that whole upheaval, and then the thought that once we get local control, right, we will be treated differently, right? To see that board totally disregarded the people, right, and they acted politically in what it is that they did. That is the issue, right? So it's not about the wrangling over whether or not it was legal. We concede, right? But the question was it right? But what I said to Diane this morning, guys, is the focus is on the wrong people. Everybody's focused on what the president of the board did or what the board members did in their votes. But when you understand that that board is essentially a puppet to a larger political group, right? Then you have to ask that larger political group, right? You have to hold them accountable because they passed down the order to do what was ultimately done, right? So all you saw was what was done, but you didn't see the behind the scenes planning and plotting against the community to do that, right? And so the entities, so that you guys are clear, right, are the mayor's office, Aníbal Ramos over in the North Ward, and those who run the charters, right? Those are the ones who every election make sure that there are 3 board members that represent those 3 entities, right? That's the triad. And so now they're just doing their bidding. So calls should be going to Aníbal Ramos's office, and he should be speaking out, right? Because they don't have a problem. You go look through history in the Board of Education. They don't have a problem as council people or even the mayor speaking out about business at the Board of Education, right? They did it. They've done it countless times, and they post their pictures on endorsement flyers every election time. So why are they silent now? Why aren't they talking about whether this was something that should have been done?
So do you think, Eric, that the NAACP came out and...
Oh, the NAACP is bullshit.
To this, mostly on behalf of the person who they thought or who assumed that they should have had the seat. Do you think that now that they have been invigorated to now do something more and then...
No. You know what they do, Diane? This is the way that they function. And Jody, because she's been in this space for a long time, right, in Newark. See, the NAACP is being marginalized right now. They thought that they had a relationship and they thought they were going to be getting some stuff, right? So they played along and they helped stack the deck during debates and all kinds of other things, right? They floated the answers to questions and questions that were going to be asked to favorable candidates. They did all of that, right? And so they thought that they were going to be taken care of. So there's some personal stuff that's going on, and so what they're trying to show is that they're relevant. That they can say something.
But we've said before that the NAACP of Newark was also under the auspices of these political.
Right, that's what I'm saying to you. So something happened.
Why would they speak out?
Well, I'm telling you, something happened in their relationship. I don't know what it is, but they asked for something, they demanded something, and they were backhanded. I don't know what that request or demand might have been. But then now they feel on the outside. So they feel like they got to go get some press to show that they're still relevant and that they can make some noise. But that same community of people that the NAACP has been part of marginalizing, that community is not going to rise up for them. They marginalize them. See, that's a dead community right now. So they're just pissing in the wind. And all of those people know it. They know that they neutered the NAACP. They got no power. Right? So, and we talked about this on the show. We know who Tap Into is. Right? We know that they're a whore organization. Right? So there's no credibility there. There's no credibility with the NAACP. None of them have any teeth. So those people who use them, they just wipe them off the bottom of their shoe like excrement. And they're keeping it moving. See, because if the NAACP, look, let's keep it honest, Diane. If the NAACP, they know more than we know because they've been in those back rooms. If they really wanted to deal with this, they'd be challenging the mayor. Right? Because they know that the call came from him. They'd be challenging Unable because they know a call came from him. They'd be outing people in the charter school movement because they know that they, through their funding, are part of this whole thing. But that's not what they did. They went after and I'm not saying that they're not accountable, but they're puppets. It's like like I said to you earlier, it's like you blaming Pinocchio for things that he says when you know that there's another guy that got his hand up his ass moving his mouth.
Absolutely.
So, Eric, wouldn't this be the opportune time for the residents to now push behind the NAACP?
What residents, Diane? I'm telling you, those residents have been beaten down. What residents?
Listen, I think what was most insulting was the comment that, and maybe this is what offended the NAACP, is when it was said, and I don't know who said it, that that was our person, Cave was our person from our space, and so that was our seat. And so how do you claim a seat? And so basically, that's the race issue there, right? That put race right in the center because it was to say that he came from our Spanish community and our Spanish movement, and so we feel like we should get another Hispanic on that board. So here, right, like Eric said, that should have round up, based on the race issue. Black parents in North should be so offended, not that we create the race issue, but that they did, right? They created a race issue.
And they use it for their advantage because you're right, Jody. That's a political pawn that they do all the time. And you'll see it in any county. When one particular race leaves out of a seat, they assume that that's supposed to be their seat. They did the same thing with Teresa Ruiz. That's her seat, a Spanish person in Union County. The same seat belongs to this person. And if that person decides not to be an assembly person, they expect that to be a seat for a Spanish-speaking person again.
Well, they're going by a caste which is based upon their opinion and belief, yet not understanding that it's up to the voters to make that final decision. And Eric, one of the big things that the NAA is experiencing was doing their period of being emasculated. They also lost a lot of their participants and support because when people called them with complaints, they were turned away.
Right. So what Vincent
And
said
I
is very
don't think that's emasculation, right? I think that's capitulation, right?
right.
The NAACP and Newark capitulated to the establishment as opposed to the people they're supposed to fight for. And now they're offended, like Eric said, because that very same establishment stuck its middle finger up at them and gave them no space at the table.
But let's get back to what. But let's get back to what Vincent said.
Like Eric said.
But let us get back to what Vincent said, because we got a couple more days before we start breaking into the book cast the origins of our discontent. See, we use racism and race and caste sometimes not in appropriate context. Right now, what they're doing is they're establishing a caste they're establishing dominance.
They were establishing caste based on pre-decision or pre-position.
No, so they're establishing caste in terms of saying the value lies here. Bottom people stay at the bottom, right? What did I tell you guys, right? So the preferred caste are white people, right? The middle caste are Asian and Latinx, and the bottom caste, or most despised, are, my air quotes, black people, right? And so in these positions of power, I want you to look at where they are and how they're moving them around, right? And so they're saying, no, we need to be in control because we need to be able to determine and set these things. And so even when you look across, and we talked about this before, you look at the highest performing schools in the city of Newark, what is the makeup of those schools?
That's right.
What is the makeup of those schools?
Eric, watch how this is going to go into the next mayoral election, because we talked about this before as to who they were going to put up to run against Raz Baraka, and it was not going to be another black person. It was going to be somebody Spanish speaking.
No, listen, no. Listen, be clear. Be clear. I'm gonna make this prediction. Raz Baraka. I mean, I'm not gonna say he's gonna run unopposed, because you're always gonna have somebody out there, who's going to run, right? I think the last time he had over 30 some people who put their name in a hat for mayor. So I'm not going to say he's going to run a poll, but I am going to say that he's not going to have a credible candidate run against him because he has capitulated. See, let us be clear, right? So the establishment looks and says, we don't have to do anything, right? You're willing to help us establish or maintain our dominance, right? And for that, this is what you're getting. And so there's no need for us to reset the room. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, Diane? So they don't need, look, the thing that they don't want to do in Newark is they don't want a race war, right? So they don't want to wake people up enough to say that there is a true Hispanic that is running against a black person where you might have this divide, right? So they're willing to have the black face in the high place as long as the black face doesn't have a specific black voice, right? And so the front man, right? So you'll be the front man. We're going to still do the business back here. The power still remains here. You have a seat. You're able to continue to build up your pension and all of those things, right? You can still give some jobs out and some contracts out and some other kinds of things. But the power, you don't see a shift in the power structure. And that's what they're concerned about. So when we talk about race and we talk about caste, like the book says, right? Race is the rooms of the house. Caste are the 2x4s behind the sheetrock that you don't see, that's holding it up, right? So that's kind of where we are right now. So the NAACP, right? They want to play too. They're not like Jody said. They go, oh, we want to capitulate too. Yeah. Everybody's climbing over. Look, and I'm gonna say this too, right? Whether you talk about them or the Urban League. I mean, we can go down the list of organizations that are just going, hey, look, what do we have to do to get in the game? They want a piece of the action.
Well, I think a lot of them are sitting up there, looking or sitting like the dinosaur looking at the comet coming. It's their extinction. But yet the majority of it is self-imposed. A lot of the things in which they were too worried about losing some status and grants and monies, so they did not stand on the behalf of what the foundation of their organizations were supposed to do. They were just a community activist group in name only, and none in action. So that comment started coming for them. Yet now they want to sit up here and act like like they're in the game, and they don't have a fight, and they don't have anything in the game.
So look,
but now want to interject themselves.
Look, the scary part about this, right? You take any of these organizations, they have no teeth. They can't go into the, and I'm using the term loosely, community and rally up anything. Right? These are the organizations that should be able to go in there and pull a militia together to fight. They can't go do anything, right? Because they all have been they like I said, they've been neutered, they've been spaded. Everybody understands that they have
some emasculated. Yet, this should be also an organization at the whim of injustice and a brief investigation should have been able to pull resources to get attorneys to help those people. Yet they did nothing.
Well, I'm not saying they did nothing. I'm saying they do nothing. Like you're using past tense. Like you're using past tense, dude. I'm going like right now. They're open for business and they're doing nothing every day. And you know what? And here's the other piece.
They're trying to get into the ring and they ain't got a dog in the fight.
And we allow them to sit in our communities. We allow them to sit in our communities.
Yes.
Right? Some
of us have the hopes that they will return to their former glory. Some of us have the hopes that they will return back to actually being activists for community.
Why? Wait a minute. What is the hope? See, when you use those terms like hope, I always my hair stands up on the back of my neck because when it's not attached to anything, right? So if we can look and say that the Urban League, at least the one in Essex County, been there for 100 years, right? And we say, let's look over the last 20 years of the metrics in terms of how it's moved. Forget about Essex County. Let's just talk about Fairmount Heights, where the headquarters is, where their building is. How have they improved that community? Let's look at the metrics. Let's look at the indicators. Where's their hope? Why would there be hope?
Why would there be hope? Because at some point in time they were the beacon of.
No, I'm not saying what they were. No, you missed my question. But you missed my question. No, but
give me the question again.
Right. So that's what I'm saying, and so that's why I stopped you because you start going, and I go, okay, he didn't hear me like you did yesterday, and I had to repeat the question. So I just want to repeat it so you know. So I'm saying they've been there for 100 years, but let's just track the last 20 years. And what I'm saying to you in the last 20 years, last 2 decades, I'm saying if we can look and see that there's been no impactful change in the immediate community that the building resides in. Forget about them being the Urban League of Essex County. I'm just talking about Fairmount Heights area. If there has been no impact in that community in the last 20 years, why would there be hope? Based on what? Based on what metrics? Based on what movement? Based on what?
Well, let's see.
I mean, you could just say none, Vincent. You don't have to come up with an answer.
Well, no, the narrative that you have put resorts to me saying none.
Yeah, there we go. Right.
However, that is the narrative that you have placed.
No, but it's what exists, Vincent. No. Wait a minute. Stop. No, Vincent. Okay, but before you do that, before you discredit it by saying it's the narrative that I put, unless you can give me some data that suggests something different, because I'm telling you. So when you say narrative, it's like, oh, it's just something that you put out there. But I can attach it to actual numbers.
But okay, so you want to put data on the fact versus hope of what they could do or them living up to their potential. You cannot do that.
Well, but wait a minute. Okay.
But no, Eric. Hope isn't fact of this. The belief or the assumption and notion that things will happen the way in which will bring about or to the results of the person having a belief in it.
Okay, but Vincent, your belief, because wait a minute, but I'm gonna say this about, and then I want to end this because Deidre's on the phone. So this is again, we're gonna go down a rabbit hole because I would dare say that you probably know nothing about the Urban League of Essex County, right?
You are absolutely 100% correct.
There we go. And so now I'm giving you information, right? And so you're arguing with me about what they can do, and I'm telling you that I know. And so you're saying that it's a narrative, and I'm saying to you, no, it's fact. And you're saying, but there's hope. And I'm going, well, what is the hope attached to? And then you're so
again, Eric,
yeah.
You are giving me the information and the facts on what they have done within the
what they haven't done.
Out of the 100. The hope is the simple fact of saying that maybe they will get back to doing something.
Got it. Okay. All right. Okay.
Once you capitulate, you just capitulated, right? There's no
thank you very much. Well, thank you very much. I think you're capitulating too.
All right. So, hey, D.
Once you capitulated, right? I'm a human being. I'm just a person, right? But as an organization, as a political or community-based organization, once you've capitulated to the establishment, you're done. The capitulation is there. Listen, that means all in the last 20 years. So Eric might want to get philosophical with you, right? Or break down his amazing knowledge of being on the inside. I will say, once you capitulate, that's how you eat. You eat off of capitulation, so there is no going back. You cannot, all that hoping and wishing and praying and all, that's ridiculous because you capitulated to the establishment, Vincent, and your hopes are nothing. They mean nothing. It just sounds good, though.
Well, you know what? My hopes may mean nothing to you. Yet to me, they mean a great deal.
Oh no, I'm not talking about you. I'm saying go ahead and hope.
But let me. And someone likes to bring up, the simple fact of my faith is that one of the big things that you have in faith is understanding of hope. And which hope is the best thing for the people who have nothing.
But what they say is hope or faith without works is dead, right? But they say that, right? No. But I got that. But they say hope or faith without works is dead.
It wasn't hope that got us out of slavery.
It was work. So when you say faith without works, so what I'm saying to you.
Let's look at the birth of a movement. It starts with hope and then moves to faith, and faith becomes action, and action becomes doing, which brings about the blessing of God.
Well, let's get some action with Deidre. And
hey, Deidre.
Hey, Deidre.
Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning, Deidre.
I hate to break up this party.
No.
It was such a interesting conversation.
That's all right. We just move into a different room. We not the party's still going.
You're very passionate. I get it. So I appreciate the passion.
Deidre done called the cops. She that neighbor.
Oh, no, not you, Deidre. You done turned Karen.
I am calling today. My voice is kind of almost back.
Excellent.
It's about 80%. But so I'm going to keep this brief. Four things I wanted to talk about today were how to do some networking online. I think we talked before about the power of LinkedIn.
Yes, we did.
And today I want to take a little step further and talk about how you can approach someone, various sources, and not just utilize LinkedIn. Tip number one is you're going to find thought leaders and influencers. And so what I mean by that is, let's say you're looking for a job in advertising, for example, Eric, and you might go searching advertising on Twitter or advertising on Instagram. But you can use this website called Follower Wonk. It's follower and then WONK. And you can type in the word advertising or blogger or writer, you'll get a list of people that write about advertising, and then they'll rank them by followers, because that's how Twitter works, right? The ones that have the most followers, they'll bubble to the surface.
What's that site called again?
Follower Wonk, WONK. And so what you're going to do is now you'll be able to identify who these individuals are that are writing articles, maybe hosting webinars, maybe writing about industry news. And now you're just going to start listening. So step number 2 is just that. You're going to listen, i.e. read their information.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to follow them on Twitter. You're going to follow them on Instagram. Those are 2 open sources that allows you to follow them. You're going to check them out on some other mediums that they might be on, like a meetup. I mean, the meetup is not as big of a deal, but they might be on Yelp making a comment about something or another, giving their opinion. You might want to download the podcast that they recommend or their own podcast. You want to start getting their newsletters or whatever they say and subscribe to. You want to start getting those particular things emailed to you when they appear in the email. So you know how you can put their names in something called TalkWalker
Mm-hmm.
or Newsly. And those 2 vehicles, when someone's mentioned in a news article online, you'll get email that says, hey, this person was mentioned, Eric Dawson was mentioned in this news article. You should check out this article.
So that's like a
you
specific...
might also want to subscribe to their YouTube channels and just check them out that way. So now you're listening and you're observing these, what I'm going to call thought leaders, right? And then step number 3, now you're going to build awareness. Now that you know who they are, you need them to be made aware of who you are. The key to successful networking is not to go around begging for favors. And then now you be considered a nuisance. You want to go around and you want to possibly retweet their content. You want to share their content on Facebook. You want to comment insightfully, right? Maybe not just say, I agree. Maybe give some color and commentary for why you agree with a particular article, and cite maybe some other references on their publications or their videos. So now you too could be considered what they might see as someone that's following them, that's thoughtful, and maybe sometimes it might challenge something they say in a thoughtful and insightful way, because you're trying to get closer to this particular person or persons. You can use appropriate hashtags and tags. Social media is such a wonderful world to identify people. They might live in California and you live on the East Coast. And now the world makes it feel like it's so small. And so you have the ability, if done tactfully and tastefully, to reach out to these individuals. And then lastly, number 4 is now it's time to connect. I mean, it's one thing to go onto LinkedIn and say, will you be my friend? There's another thing that if you were on LinkedIn, you were commenting on their posts, you shared some of their articles, you saw them at some, you tweeted a couple of things that they said, you subscribe to their newsletter, your name is going to keep bubbling up to the surface, and they're going to say, why do I know this name, Diane Murray? It's going to just keep bubbling to the surface. Don't go out and try to friend them on Facebook. That might come across as a little creepy because they're not your friend. Some people like myself, I tend to friend people on Facebook that I actually know, not just someone I'm looking to network with. Now, LinkedIn allows you to network and friend people that you might not know, but you can see, through circle of influences, they might know someone that 6 degrees of separation. But now that you've done all this research and you sort of kind of really wiggle down these couple of individuals that you want to be, you want to get closer to, you're not going to just go, and even at this particular time, you're not going to go asking for favors. It's all about getting to know people and building your network. As they always say, it's better to give than to get. So maybe give them something that they may not have, you may not have seen them post about, or give them a wonderful compliment about something that they wrote about. I love the article that you wrote about last week, and then give them some color that shows that you actually did read the article, and then you go in for, hey, I would appreciate some advice on this. Or I love a chance to talk to you about this career path that I'm looking to go down. Or I'm looking to get into this industry, I would appreciate your mentorship. Can we set up a virtual coffee? Then you get to that point. But if you skip any of these steps, it might come across as just another name in their inbox of someone that wants them. Everyone wants them to be their mentor. And I'll be a great mentee. You don't even know that person. You can't go down that road unless you guys have some kind of relationship together. And people are busy. So if you do these things and you don't hear back from them, send them a quick follow-up message about a week later, because they might just have missed your email. And if they're a thought leader and they're out and about and they're commenting and they're writing articles and they're blogging and they're on podcasts, you best believe they're busy and they've got a lot of emails in their inbox. So don't feel like if they don't respond to you right away, that they're avoiding you. They just might not have seen your email. So I think a nice opportunity would just be to send a follow-up email just to say, hey, I know you're busy. I'm just following up for my email I sent you last week. Whatever your comment was on, if you wanted them to, talk to them about, their career or consider an industry or pass your resume on to an opening you might have saw at their company. Whatever that looks like, but just,
But you know what?
Do it about maybe 2 or 3 more times. And then move to the next person.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to just have one person. You're going to have several that you're doing this with.
Right. And the truth is, they may have seen your email, and you just may not be somebody that they want to deal with, right? So we got to. I mean, that's a hard truth that sometimes we don't accept rejection, and I don't know if rejection is the right word, but sometimes they didn't see your email, sometimes they saw it, and there's more work you need to do to make yourself desirable or more. I don't even know what word to use there too. But I just don't want people,
marketable. But the other thing with that, Eric, is sometimes people have to understand job positions that are posted, they're not always looking to hire from the outside. They may already have something, and logistically they have to post it. So that could be some of the reasons behind why you don't get a response back on certain positions.
Well, we're not talking about positions here. We're talking about mentorships, right? So
yeah, this could be a company.
We're talking about networking.
Or networking.
It could have been someone that is trying to change industries and they're trying to break into a particular industry. It could be you want just information.
Yeah.
It could be a variety of things. You could be writing a book and you're looking for someone to write a forward. It could be quite a few things.
Right.
But it's important that we talked a while ago about building your network, and this is just a very crafty way and thoughtful way to go about it. Instead of just saying, "Hey, can you be my LinkedIn friend? Hey, can you mentor me?" Right? There's a couple steps you want to take because people are busy. We're all busy, and we all want to help. We have the best interest in mind. But if 100 people is asking, or even 5 people is asking the same thing, it could be considered a little overwhelming, and they don't know you on that different level.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because and the reason I said that, Deidre, is because what we're doing here with the business, I'm working on building a network, right? An advisory board and other kinds of people who might be able to help us navigate, different things, and even within the group. So this is interesting. I have a network, but now I'm trying to lean on that network that I had, that kind of I managed to do some things with, right, in the political circle. I'm trying to leverage those relationships to do some stuff in the private sector, and I'm not getting phone calls back from some of them or text messages back because over here, there's value add and whatever, but over here, not so much, right? So I've got to. I'm not taking it personally. I'm sifting through and I'm continuing to work, and that's why I said. So sometimes they get it. Like I know that they got my text messages. So if I text them about certain things, they respond. But this thing, where I fall on a totem pole, is totally different, and I just got to understand that and move on.
Well, I think that people have they don't compartmentalize certain things, so they can't take you out of one area and say, "Oh, I can work with you over here."
Right. Exactly.
They only see you in one lane.
You know, one of the things that you said, DJ, that I really like is that you said give them feedback and add to their comments, and because you are actually showing them that you have some worth and that you are a great contributor to an actual cause. I get so tired of being turning down all of these invitations on LinkedIn for people who want me to buy their services or, you know, give them a job. I mean, and this is a great way to get into my door when you're actually bringing something to the table.
Absolutely. So it's about giving, and I don't know if you guys discussed Clubhouse yet. Diane
Niagara Falls
posted something the other day about Clubhouse. I forgot exactly what you said, Diane, but it sounded to me like you were turned off by it. And
yeah, I think was, are we sick of Clubhouse yet?
Oh yeah. So I disagree, and I think you can use Clubhouse the way you see fit. But one of the things that they said in there that I thought I loved was that, you know, to be a giver, right? A lot of the people that are on the platform, and I get it, they're eventually going to try to sell you something. That's the hustle is out there. I can see it, but it doesn't come across that way. It comes across authentically, like they're willing to share knowledge to people that are asking questions, really specific questions. They'll look at people's websites or whatnot. And so the same thing with this is that if you're coming across to someone you're trying to network with, you know, try to be a giver first. You know, try to give them something, even if it's feedback, you know, or even a comment about an article they wrote or somewhere where you might have seen them before, especially if they're an influencer, which means they're very well known and they truly may not have the time to add one more person under their, you know, mentorship.
Okay, so if I could recap now.
Well, one of the things I want to say, well, we can have a deeper conversation about Clubhouse, but I get your point, Deidre. I just, especially after watching Social Dilemma, right? I look very skeptically at these social media platforms, and there are hustles out there. They're wolves and they're sheep, and for sure, folks who go in with all good intentions, you know, the game is being played, so you just have to be careful. That's all I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And I think so. The way that I'm using it right now, I'm just a fly on the wall, which is awesome, and it's awesome to sort of observe the questions, and it's great to observe the answers, you know. And some of the people that are in these rooms they're really giving spot on information, especially to newbies. A lot of newbie businesses I've noticed out there, they're looking to start something or they're trying to pivot, and they're really giving them great advice. So I know that's deep conversation, but my point is that they're trying to give because then they'll be seen as the thought leader,
right?
On that particular topic. And so if you are looking for a thought leader in marketing and they gave you what you felt was solid advice, why not engage in them and have them do some work for you? You know?
Right.
True. Or sometimes some people find out that it's so iffy because you're putting yourself out there. There's very little information that you know about, yet you stand a 50% chance of it being successful, or this person's relationship is successful, or it is a ripoff.
Yeah, but I think a lot of times the information that is given is all about execution. And folks have the best ideas, but if you're not willing to execute it, you can talk all day long about it.
That is true.
About this idea and how good it is. You know, there's a lot of talkers, and I hate talkers. I like doers.
So, we're ready for the recap?
Yes, I'm ready for the recap. I'm going to talk about my jobs. Can I do that afterwards?
No, do that now.
Recap.
Yeah,
recap.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, go which way?
No, do the jobs first.
Okay. So right now I actually have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 professional level positions open. I'm looking for a business analyst, project manager, security lender. I'm still looking for the regulatory compliance auditor. I'm still looking for the IT auditor. I have a business analyst, project manager in securities. I'm looking for a real estate internal auditor.
Series 7 or Series 8 required?
No, these are auditors. So these auditors do not require that kind of licensing. They're just looking for college and at least 4 years experience. And then I'm looking for an auditor in banking. So all of these are, we have a high level, a really big name bank, a couple of different banks that we're working with. Some of these roles I just mentioned are work from home roles. Actually, most of them are work from home roles. Only the one that's the IT auditor is the one you have to be flexible to work in the Jersey City area because you're going to come to Jersey City twice a week. But all the rest of them are work from home. So if those sound interesting to you, we'd love to talk to you. We just got a compounder second shift position in Newark yesterday. That's someone that has experience with forklift. We also got an AR clerk. That's in where's that in? Bayonne. We also got a human resources coordinator. That one is in Bayonne. Literally 5 minutes ago, I got a receptionist. So you do need to be bilingual in Spanish. That's in Newark. I have an executive assistant position, high level, supporting senior executives at a company that is in Jersey City. And as always, I'm looking for forklift position people, tons and tons of forklift openings. And then I'm still looking for the bookkeeper. I have a bookkeeper position. I have 2 bookkeeper positions. I have one in Jersey City and one in Hoboken. Bookkeeper must have experience in QuickBooks. So we're very, very busy. These are all posted on our website at expresspros.com/Jersey City. You can also call our office. We recommend you try to do the application or send us a resume online first. That's the best way to get a hold of us. But if you do need to speak to us and you have some questions or you sent your resume over and you haven't heard from us, give us a call. It's 201-333-8400. One of my team members will be able to respond to you. So that's 201-333-8400. That phone number is also tied to our text messaging. So you can also text us at that same number.
Okay. And then Deidre, outside of the jobs that are listed on your site, you said before that that shouldn't preclude people from forwarding their resume, right? There are other opportunities that you may be able to.
So the best way, thank you for that, Eric, because I always forget. The best way to actually try to engage with Express, because we have 800 offices, is actually to go to our app. It's the Express Jobs, JOBS app. And when you go there, you upload your resume, you fill out an application, it would actually tell you what jobs are nearest to your home based on what you put in as your address. And so if you don't engage with Jersey City office, because all of our jobs are in Newark, you might live in Central Jersey or South Jersey. We have an office in pretty much every county in New Jersey, and we're also in New York. We have offices in Queens and Brooklyn and Long Island, and so in Philadelphia. So, we can find something that's closer to your home if you don't want to work up in this area. Or the interest, you might be one that's a road warrior, and you're okay driving an hour for the right opportunity. And so you can put that in as well. And you can see it almost looks like a little map, a radius of where the jobs are. It's a pretty cool tool.
And that link is again Express Pros.
It's Express Jobs. For that one, they can just go to that's the Jobs app. So they go to the Google Play Store or to iPhone users, the Apple Store. There's just Express Jobs, and it'll be powered by Express Employment Professionals.
Got it.
Okay.
All right.
So if we can recap, Deidre Viney today is on networking. First, in terms of networking, you want to go with the thought leaders and influencers. I believe, now this is from memory, so it's follow, work, wonk. And the second point is to listen to them. And one place to listen to them is Talk Walkers and News Links. Listen to these leaders and sign up for their seminars, their lectures. Follow them on their podcast, Yelp, and other newsletters. Third, you want to build awareness to you. Now, following them, comment, add some things, question part of things in which you heard on their seminars and lectures and podcasts, get feedback. And after doing that, number 4 would be time to connect. And connecting, you want to show your worth. Give ask them for feedback and comments on what you're doing. Ask for feedback in terms of mentorship or what would be needed and required to breaking into other industries. And if you don't get a response, follow up a week later. Again, you can find Deidre Viney at expresspro.com/Jersey City or get the app in Google Play Store. Express Jobs, the app. Did I do that right?
That was good. You're a good recapper. I just in the chat feature on Facebook, I just put that follower wonk. I know I'm a little raspy sounding with this voice, but that's where you go to look for those thought leaders. And so I also put a link to our website. We try to keep our jobs up to date. Follow us on Facebook. That's our main place of posting our jobs is Facebook. We don't really use Twitter.
And you're still giving $50 for anybody who does a referral, right?
And as a matter of fact, funny you should say that. I wrote 3 checks this week, $50. So it's happening. It's working.
All right. And again, if you're listening to this broadcast and you contact Deidre Viney, please mention Andy Eric Dawson Show. We like to keep a track of how we're impacting our community.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you next
Thank
week.
you. Continue
Thank
to get
you
your voice back.
Deidre.
You got 20% to go. All right. Go ahead.
Here we talked about the reparations, and in terms of something specifically for Black people. Any feedback on that?
Any feedback on something specific for Black people?
Well, the reparations, that bill that they're drafting and working on right now, that would be specifically for Black people.
So, look, yeah. So what I'll say is this: we got to be real careful, right? Because smoke and mirrors could be specifically for Black people, right? You know what I'm saying? Distractions can be specifically for Black people. So, Dr. Doherty, I want to know whether he's involved. So they're very specific people that if they're not involved in this because they've been doing the work, they've got the data. So if what they're talking about is putting together another commission, doing another study, figuring out some more stuff to kick the can down the road, I'm saying that's a distraction, right? Because all of that information has been done. All they need to do is pull the trigger. Right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think what they're doing right now is that they've got the ammunition. I think they're. It seems like they're gaining focus, aim, and then pulling the trigger.
What gives you that information?
Well, the comment. I think it was Sheila Jackson Lee, and was saying, and a few other people, insiders, and one of the big things they were talking about is how this went under the wire and getting less, which means it got less opposition in stopping it.
Right. So, look. So here's what I'll say to you. There are a lot of smart people, right? Mm-hmm. Even if you said, even if you gave the window, this is walking and chewing gum at the same time for 100 days, right?
It is.
So what is?
This is walking and chewing gum at the same time.
No. That's right. So I'm saying, so even if we gave the 100 days, which is over 3 months, right? All the data, like I said, is already there. People have done the work. They've done the work.
Right.
So in 90 days, right? They should be able to say yes.
Get this bill on the floor.
Yes. So like I said, we'll wait and we'll see what happens. We'll track the progress of it.
Oh, now you want to wait and see?
No. See, don't take. See, but no. You miss no. But right. But see, here's where the distraction is, Vincent. What I'm saying to you is this, right? They need to. Some of those people may need to go through the documentation that has already been created, right? So it is time to do that, right? So I'm not saying that I'm waiting to see whether they're going to start reading that documentation. I'm saying, yes, I'm going to give them time to read it, to digest it. And I'm saying 3 months should be plenty of time for them to be able to read and digest it and then move on it. So there are always indicators for me. So I'm not saying I want to wait till the totality of the next 3 months. I'm saying that now we should set milestones and benchmarks. So at what point are you going to sit down and with the people who formulated based on data what reparations should be? When is that meeting going to happen? Right? When is the meeting? They said that they were going to have a meeting with Ice Cube. When is that meeting going to happen? Put that on the calendar. So I'm saying that things should be happening. I'm not going to wait until 100 days or 90 days now and say, well, did you do anything? We should now project manage them. Right? So I'm not saying wait like that. So yes. So next week we should have some movement. The week after next, we should have some movement. If we get to a week and there's no movement, and I start looking at those indicators which suggest whether or not they're bullshitting us or not, I'll be able to call it very quickly, right? Now, when we were talking about priorities and what should be priority, and we were talking about COVID, there's an article that I sent to both you and Diane this morning, and it says why Black-owned businesses are struggling to stay afloat. Right. And in that article, it was talking about 8 out of 10 Black businesses going out of business. It was talking about some staggering numbers in terms of the percentage of Black-owned businesses that go out of business compared to white-owned businesses. And in this, it talks about all of those things happening prior to COVID-19. Now, we can say that COVID-19 has exacerbated the situation, but they were happening prior to. And so to say that we want to get back to where we were by just simply focusing on COVID-19, where we were bleeding out anyway, I'm saying no, we have to be more of a priority than that. And that's where I was saying yesterday that we could walk and chew gum. So we could look and say, yep, yeah, we could put some, or the president, can assign a task force or whomever to focus on COVID-19, right? He should have the ability to do that, and we hope. And then those people that he brings on board should have the acumen to be able to do that, right? And then he should be able to turn his attention over here. And in a 24-hour day, he shouldn't have to spend all 24 hours or however many working hours he has just focusing on this thing. He should be able to say, you know what, I'm going to spend, 40% of my time focused on this, 20% of my time focused on this, 10% of my time focused on this, 15 on this, and 15 on that. Right? So out of my 100%, this is how I'm going to break it down. And so what I want to know, and I think that every bottom cast person should want to know, is what percentage of that 100% is focused on us. That's all I'm asking.
Well, it has to be 0% because of the representation that we have in here is still talking about putting together another committee. So while they putting together the 5th or 6th or 10th committee after John Lewis, that's your answer right there. Yeah. You don't have to wait. The answer's already been given.
Yeah. So that's all I want to know. So I don't think that any, and I was trying to figure out how to better state that than we were stating it yesterday. I'm not suggesting that 100% of his time needs to be focused on this, right? Because I understand there are other things that are taking place in the world. But I'm saying, what percentage of time is being focused on us, right? And then what specifically is he focusing on? Right? That's what I want to know. I also posted, and this is probably going to take up the last 10 minutes of the show. They got to do something about this transgender thing. It's out of control. And I understand the whole transgender argument, meaning I identify as this. But when you inject sports and other kinds of things in it, it doesn't. It's just not simple like that, right? So the article or the meme that I posted showed a human being who identifies as, under our construct, female, and so he who was born with, a penis and testicles, right, says, or this human being that was born. So I'm trying to just like stay within, the conversation respecting, gender benders, right? So this human being that was born with testicles and a penis says, I identify,
Genitals.
huh?
Genitals.
Oh, testicles and a penis. Say right. Say I want to identify as a person not born with testicles and a penis, right? According to our construct, and then I want to compete with them in this particular sport, right? Um, and we see that there's just an overwhelming dominance when that happens, right? So there's something that has to be done, right? Because it's clear that there's something,
It's an unfair advantage.
right?
It's like an NBA player, taking on somebody in the schoolyard.
Well, even further than that, somebody says, so if Shaq, when he was playing, like, so even in his retired state, right? If he said, yo, I want to make some more money, so I identify as a woman, and so now I want to join the WNBA.
Or join the women's professional volleyball.
Well, I don't think his knees could handle that. Yeah, I don't think. I don't think his knees could handle that. But you get what I'm saying, right? So you just decide, and who's to determine what you identify as, right? And so if you can move back and forth,
what you identify as is what you compete as. That's the concern.
Well, no, but you first have to identify as that in order to be categorized to be able to compete, right?
Play into that.
Yourself. So the thing is, it's now left up to the organization that oversees this program as to how they get to compete, because it is not fair that a man should be running against a woman in track unless you're not going to turn it into a unisex track meet. And if it's a unisex track meet, then that allows everybody to run.
So here's where we are, right? So are we saying that we need to tear down the boundaries then of sports, right? So you say you have no men's sports, no women's sports. You just have human being sports. And any human being now can register to compete. And now you set a criteria based.
We have gender mixed sports.
No. But what I'm saying is this, right? We have so gender benders say that gender in and of itself is a man-made construct. So I'm saying, do we then, if we identify it as being a man-made construct, do we say, well, we're not going to say male or female. We're going to say human being. Right? So now we have sports for human beings to participate in. And now, how do we then determine which human beings can compete with which other human beings?
First, I disagree that gender is a man-made construct. In the beginning, or quoting the Bible, he made them both man and woman.
Right, but stop. You got to stop there, because now what you do is you disqualify atheists. You say, wait a minute, so look at what you just did. You said, so you know what? Atheists are irrelevant in this. Because what I'm using as my standard...
I did not disqualify
Sure you did.
atheism.
Yeah, sure you did.
I clarified monotheism.
Right, but by doing that, because once you insert the Bible, then what it says is anybody who does not believe in this, because this is the foundation now of your debate, right? So anybody who doesn't believe in it is disqualified from this debate, right? Because you got to believe in this.
That is not what I said. What I said is that one of the qualifications of saying that gender is a man-made construct is in theology of the
I understand. Again, I understand. So one of the qualifiers is this, which means the disqualifier is also that. If it qualifies, it also disqualifies.
No, what is okay? Yes.
Yes.
A qualification can be a disqualification.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, because I don't I'm not versed in atheism. If an atheist has an understanding and concept of how the sexes or the genders were actually developed or evolved, then please give some.
No. But what I'm saying is the atheist does not believe. The atheist does not believe that that man and women were made in accordance with the way the Bible is. So I'm simply saying that
atheists do not believe in the existence of a higher power.
Correct.
They just
Okay.
believe that it
We
just
just
happened.
like I don't know why you just for the sake of wanting to argue. So it's a disqualifier, Vincent. If people over here believe it and people over here don't, and that is your foundation, it qualifies your next statement. So, but
Okay,
on the
Eric, based on your faith, tell me, how was man and woman created?
doesn't matter what I believe. What I'm simply saying is that there are other people.
That gives the basis upon you saying that gender is a man-made construct concept.
Right. So I'm saying if you follow science, science suggests that. Right?
No.
Sure it does.
There are certain scientists that suggest that. But there are just as many scientists that believe in faith.
Well, but you know what? So then we go down that road of the scientists, Vincent, who are on the side of take your mask off, right?
Correct.
Right, here we go.
Well,
But science is science, right?
That say put the mask on.
But science
so
is
for everyone that has a qualification, there is one to find a disqualification.
Okay. Vincent,
It's
do me a
basically
favor.
the
Vincent,
point.
do me a favor. Look up the word gender. I'm gonna give that to you to do, and then read it.
Okay. While we do that, continue.
Yeah. Go ahead. Right. So we're gonna deal with science, right? Not scientists, but science. And read the definition of gender.
Gender, the definition?
Yeah. And the origins of gender. But first start off with the definition of gender. Google it, right? And then Google origins of gender.
Okay, well, I got origins first.
Okay.
Gender.
What does it say?
The modern English word gender comes from the Middle English gender or gendre, a loan word from Anglo-Norman to Middle French. This term came from the Latin genus, both words meaning kind, type, or sort.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, gender. Definition.
Mm-hmm.
Enter into two sexes, male and female, especially when considering the references to social and cultural differences, rather than a biological one.
There we go. So stop there. There we go. So what it's saying is it's not linked to biology, right? It's linked to social, right? Not biology, not science.
Oh no, that's the definition versus the origin.
Go ahead.
The origin is linked to biology, male and female. The definition is linked to social and cultural.
No. The term that
I just read the origin of the word gender, which is linked to male and female or type. Now I'm reading the definition, which refers to social and cultural differences rather than biological ones, better known as cross-gender.
Right. So, okay.
Socially, they want to be this, but biologically, they're that.
Right.
You know, Eric, I read an article. This is so funny. And it's in a men's health magazine. It says why some people always need to be right. Because they always tend to have fragile egos and want to feel as though their self-image has been threatened. And they want to make themselves look bigger or smarter, or so they blame others.
Can we move on to your statement about the sports and men playing on women's sports, so we cannot go down this rabbit hole, please? The last 1 minute.
Right. So, all right. Yeah. So I just think that we need to, well, but words all do matter. I know we're at 12 o'clock, but words all do matter. And so we have to start at the origins, right? Much like we're doing in terms of bottom people here, right? And reconfiguring our thinking while we're in this matrix. And so in this matrix, right, we also have these other constructs, right? We have these different rooms. And so we open a door to another room. And this room is where we're here now, where we've got this person, this human being who wants to do this thing and has disrupted the system, right? So there's no difference, right? So it's first saying, what is it? Understanding what it is, and then until we can be clear on language, right, and what it is, it's difficult to move forward, and that's why sometimes it's uncomfortable going through it, right? So where we are stuck right now, at least, is gender. What gender is, how it has been defined, what it has been used for, right? What it really is, though. But then once we can come to a consensus on that, then we can look at the thing that is happening and say, okay, is it logical? Is it not logical? And then how do you begin to dismantle it, if at all? Right? And so it's going to take a little bit of time. But I said people have to think through it. It's not as simple as saying, hey, let that person put on a uniform and let them run. And that's all I'm saying. So I said they got to think through this. It's not simple. Right, and I think even and this is why I address the whole Bible thing, because then that implies some level of simplicity to it, right? Well, if you believe this thing, then hey, well, why don't you understand that? And I'm going, whoa, wars have been fought and are still fought over what's in the Bible and the Quran and the Torah, right? People have been hung and whipped because of what was in the Bible, so it's not that simple. Right?
People have been lied to in understanding superiority
by
what they interpret the Bible.
But that's my whole point, right? So it's not that simple. So we need to think through this. We need to have a clear understanding of language, origins of language, right? The reason behind it, to control, right? To create these classifications, which are then inserted into this caste system. We got to have so this is by no means a simple thing for them to do, and I think that they caved into pressure, right? So you have the LGBTQ community, which is organized, right? And so they're putting pressure on the political class here and the political class without having full understanding. And so this is what frustrates me, right? So they don't have full understanding of this, but they say, hey, do it. But bottom people who've been here for 400 years, they say we need to have full understanding. We need time to set up these things, to be able to examine, to be able to whatever. But this thing, we don't have full understanding of it, but can do it. Right? But you bottom people, yeah.
Well, it's the same argument that you have with reparations. There are some people who say, we don't need a committee, write the check. And then there are the other people who go, well, no, we don't have full understanding of this. And you never will. Write the check.
Right, because what they do know, without having full understanding, they know right now that people are still being damaged. Right? They know that. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm gonna tomorrow I'm off, right? But I want to explore this thing. I want to dig deeper into it, Diane and Vincent, into gender, into all that stuff, and into what is going on, because we need to bring some resolution to it, because trauma is occurring right now, right? There are human beings who have spent their lives training for particular sports, and now their lives have been disrupted, completely disrupted, and there is no remedy for it, right? Nobody's addressing that trauma. There will be those who have, I mean, I'm not just talking about the monetary part of it, but there certainly is a monetary side of it where parents have invested tens of thousands of dollars into training coaches and other kinds of things in hopes of having their children go off to university, right? And those things are now in jeopardy. So how is that impacting the psyche of these human beings? Nobody's addressing that. They just said do it. They just said do it. So I don't want to have this topic just be like a discussion and move it off of our desks. I'd like to continue to follow it and to talk about it. And, like we do here on this show, unlike other shows, we take it to places where it's uncomfortable because people don't want to have those uncomfortable conversations. But in order to have resolution, you have to have them. Right? So thank you guys for tuning in. We got no snow. I don't know if it's snowing yet, but I woke up fully expecting that there would at least be a dusting on the ground, and there wasn't.
We got some really threatening clouds in South Jersey where it looks like it's going to snow.
All right. And then what do we have? We have, today is the 9th. So we got 2 more days, guys, before we start unpacking Caste, the origins of our discontent by Isabella Wilkerson. I wish I had time to go through it a 6th time. I really don't. I'm going to spend these next couple of days trying to pull audio together because, I want to share the audio and then we'll unpack it. So Vincent and Diane, what I'll ask you guys to do is if there are very specific things that you guys want to address in it, let me know so that I can pull those pieces of audio. We can play them for the listeners and viewers of the show, and then we can have a discussion about them. But you got to get it to me quickly because I'll be doing the work, putting the audio.
I'm going to do it as we always do it and go by the chapters.
Go by the what?
I'll go through the chapters. I'll be ready. I don't need you to do sound clips. I'm good.
Okay. So I'll do. So for me, I want sound clips. So you're gonna go through the chapters. I'm not sure how you want to go through it, Vincent. But if there's something that I need to do to prepare for what you want to do, let me know as quickly as possible.
No, I'm saying I'm going to do it by. We're going to do it by chapter. So make sure you put your sound clips according to the chapters. That's what I mean. As we usually do.
Okay. So okay. Well, we'll talk offline about it. Because they're like 30 some chapters, so I don't know. But anyway, we'll talk about it. But I'm excited, guys. And it's going to be a heck of a show. All right? Have a good evening. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, Alex.
Bye. I can't get to my screen to turn you guys off. I'm trying.